Nightline begins now with me, Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. Government to launch Madani economic narrative in August. And over 400 kilograms of drugs worth 70 million ringgit seized. Good morning. The Royal Malaysian Customs Department crippled an international drug trafficking syndicate and seized 454 kilograms of drugs worth almost 70 million ringgit, following 3 raids at Port Klang, Selangor and Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA Air Cargo Complex, Sepang, earlier this month. Its Director General, Datuk Zazuli Johan, said in the first raid, cocaine weighing 302.2 kilograms worth 60.4 million ringgit were seized on June 6th. It was reported that the modus operandi of the syndicate is to hide the drugs in between other items and declare them as soybeans. The container, which originated from South America, was on transit to a Southeast Asian country where it was supposed to be delivered, but was detained on arrival at Port Klang. On the same date, 107 plastic packages containing ketamine weighing 126.5 kilograms and worth 7.6 million ringgit from 15 boxes were also seized at KLIA Air Cargo Complex. The modus operandi is to declare the goods containing drugs as ceramic pots and vases, when they are actually chunks of dangerous drugs. Meanwhile, 25 packets of ketamine weighing 25.3 kilograms and estimated to be worth 1.5 million ringgit were seized from a freezer container, which arrived from a South Asian country on June 4th. 2 local men in their 40s have been arrested to assist in the investigation. The cases were being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. A Madani economic narrative will be launched in August as a guide for a clearer direction of the country's economy. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the narrative is important to facilitate policy implementation plans at the ministerial and related department levels.
Kepentingan naratif ekonomi ini adalah untuk memberikan suatu panduan yang jelas hala tuju dan memudahkan tindakan oleh kementerian-kementerian dan jabatan-jabatan berkenaan. Kementerian Ekonomi dan kementerian yang terlibat dan juga sektor swasta, bila ada proses libat urus ini, tentu akan menentukan beberapa dasar yang kita sebut tadi, soal pengguna tenaga, soal keutamaan pelaburan dan soal ekonomi hijau.
Speaking to the media after chairing the National Economic Action Council, the Prime Minister, who is also the Finance Minister, said the narrative will become a large and general framework and will be explained to the people in stages. A rationalization of subsidies is also a part of the narrative, where the unity government said it will not move from its stand to reduce subsidies involving the rich people. In the meantime, the Prime Minister said he will respond to Perikatan Nasional Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin's question over the maritime border agreement signed with Indonesia recently in Parliament on Tuesday. Datuk Sri Anwar said Tan Sri Muhyiddin's question would be answered during the Prime Minister's questions and answers session.
Saya akan jawab di Parlimen dan biar dia ada di situ untuk hujah. Esok saya ingat, esok PMQ. Saya harap dia hadir.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin claimed that Datuk Sri Anwar signed the treaties during Indonesian President Joko Widodo's recent working visit to Malaysia, despite maritime experts advising otherwise. He reportedly urged the Prime Minister to provide an explanation with regard to the treaties signed. In a separate event, Datuk Sri Anwar announced plans to prioritise the development of new housing quarters for civil servants starting next year. The Prime Minister said this initiative will follow the resolution of pressing issues such as inadequate toilets and basic facilities in schools.
Jadi sebab itu untuk tahun depan, kalau selesai masalah tandas di sekolah, kemudian nasihat di sekolah, saya akan tumpu rumah
jawab Allah supaya elok.
Datuk Sri Anwar said this in his special mandate for Selangor civil servants, which was attended by some 1,500 civil servants on Monday. His visits to Langkawi and Sungai Buloh prison previously revealed the poor condition of military personnel quarters and houses for prison staff. These first-hand observations served as strong evidence for the urgent need to improve housing for civil servants. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Shari has denied claims that the Selangor State Legislative Assembly will be dissolved on June 19th to make way for the state polls, which is expected to take place soon. Datuk Sri Amiruddin, who is also Sungai Tua Assemblyman, in refuting the claims, said that he had a meeting several weeks ago with Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah, and that the ruler would give a date for the dissolution.
Sebenarnya 19 hari bulan Jun ini lengkap 5 tahun saya diberikan amanah untuk mengetuai kerajaan dan pentadbiran ini. Ini mungkin mengujakan setengah orang yang rasa saya nak bubar 19. Saya beritahu tak ada, kita tak bubarkan 19.
Datuk Sri Amiruddin clarified that there may be some matters and verifications that need to be done by the Sultan of Selangor in order to announce the date or accept his proposal date. On June 5th, Selangor Perikatan Nasional Chairman Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali claimed that the State Assembly would be dissolved on June 19th, and the announcement was made during a PN Talk program in Tanjung Karang, Selangor. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa has recommended that the Control of Smoking Products for Public Health Bill 2023 be referred to the Parliamentary Special Select Committee on Health for further scrutiny. She said the move would be in accordance with the standing orders of the Dewan Rakyat for the committee to make the necessary recommendations, as well as further examine the proposed Generation Endgame GEG provisions.
Rang undang-undang ini adalah sangat penting. Sokongan tidak berbelah bagi daripada semua pihak adalah perlu. Oleh itu, KKM mencadangkan rang undang-undang ini dirujuk kepada JKPK Kesihatan bagi penelitian lanjut, di mana jawatankuasa ini berfungsi sebagai mekanisme semak dan imbang yang akan mengambil kira pandangan daripada semua pihak.
Dr. Zaliha said this after tabling the bill for the first reading in the Dewan Rakyat on Monday. During an engagement session held on June 6th, involving the Special Selection Committee on Health, members of Parliament, professional bodies, and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, requests were made to further refine certain aspects of the bill. The bill aims to regulate the sale and purchase of tobacco products, smoking materials, tobacco substitutes, and smoking devices to promote public health and create a smoke-free generation. The bill also provides for a fine of not more than 20,000 ringgit or imprisonment for not more than a year against anyone found selling the products to individuals born from January 1st, 2007. The issue of poverty forcing children to drop out of school to help support their families is a problem the country must address and fix. Deputy Education Minister Lim Hui Ying, who said this, noted that it was a social problem that required ways to address it. Explaining this in the Dewan Rakyat on Monday, Lim said one possible solution was to make it compulsory for all children to remain in school until the end of Form 5.
Satu daripada seperti yang disebutkan oleh YB Parit, 60% atau lebih adalah kerana kemiskinan. Kita dapati di peringkat menengah, kadar keciciran lebih tinggi. Kita sudah juga membuat lawatan ke rumah-rumah, buat outreach kepada rumah-rumah atau murid-murid yang keciciran tu. Yang utama tu adalah kemiskinan kerana kebanyakan.
Lim said some poor students dropped out of school because they had to work to support their families, adding that the ministry was looking at expanding current support mechanisms for such students. She added that the ministry also provides 18 types of aid for students from low-income families, including federal scholarships, supplementary food programs, and early schooling assistance. Various assistance, including textbook loans and the services of counseling, are also provided to boost students' interest. Cloud seeding operations would have a two-pronged objective. namely to ensure enough water at catchment areas at dams and help the affected agriculture sector. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, and related agencies had identified at least 6 rivers nationwide for cloud seeding operations, which would help the agriculture sector. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Sabah, Sarawak Affairs and Special Functions, Dato' Armizan Muhammad Ali, said the rivers include Sungai Muda in Kedah, Sungai Bernam, which is located between Selangor and Perak, and Sungai Similajau in Bintulu, Sarawak.
Kali ini operasi pembenihan awan ini dilaksanakan dalam pendekatan yang lebih bersifat proaktif. Kita tidak menanti kemuncak kepada situasi panas dan kering itu, namun ramalan dan kajian dilakukan oleh Met Malaysia lebih awal.
Dato' Armizan said this in a media conference after inspecting the final preparations for the cloud seeding operations at the Royal Malaysian Air Force RMAF base in Subang, Selangor on Monday. The operations would be carried out until June 13th in the Teluk Bahang and Air Hitam dams at the request of the Pulau Pinang government through coordination between NADMA, Met Malaysia and the RMAF. As of June 12th, the water level at Air Hitam Dam was at 48.6%, while Teluk Bahang Dam at 44.4%. Perak is prepared to sell treated water to Pulau Pinang, but it still depends on whether there is enough supply for its own people. Perak Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Sarani Mohamad said the Pulau Pinang government had written to him about 2 months ago, suggesting that the island state was prepared to discuss buying treated water from the Perak Water Board or LAP.
Sekarang ni pun sebenarnya sama ada orang tahu tak tahu, LAP menjual air ke Dibun Tebal. Dia orang tap air daripada Parit Buntar tu, jadi dia bayar ikut meter lah. Ya. So air terawat boleh. Ya, dia dirawat oleh Perak dan kita boleh jual di mana-mana. Yang tak boleh ni ialah air Sungai Perak itu nak diambil untuk dipindahkan kepada aliran yang tak boleh buat.
He said this during a media conference after the Meet the Customer Day at the Indra Mulia Stadium in Ipoh on Monday. He added that the Pulau Pinang government is aware of the situation in Perak and his government is concerned on the shortage of water faced by Pulau Pinang. Jelutong MP RSN Rayer had last week at the Dewan Rakyat suggested that the federal government discuss with Datuk Sri Sarani on supplying water to Pulau Pinang. Datuk Sri Sarani had in December last year said that the state was unable to supply raw water to Pulau Pinang because there was insufficient supply for the state itself. The Perak MB also said he understood that the lakes at several dams were overflowing, but the water could not be supplied to Pulau Pinang. After this breather, thousands evacuated as volcano oozes lava. Don't go away. We're back with news from the foreign front. Silvio Berlusconi, who dominated Italian public life for decades as a billionaire media mogul, businessman and prime minister, has died aged 86. Berlusconi was admitted to a Milan hospital on Friday for what aides said were pre-planned tests related to his leukemia. His admission came just 3 weeks after he was discharged following a 6-week stay at Milan's San Raffaele Hospital, during which time doctors revealed he had a rare type of blood cancer. However, despite being diagnosed with leukemia, he was active in politics to the end as a senator and partner in Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's right-wing government. Berlusconi also wielded huge influence through his television and newspaper interests, his ownership of AC Milan Football Club, and his sheer wealth as Italy's richest person for a decade. Thailand's prime ministerial front-runner Pita Limjaroenrat will be investigated over whether he was qualified to run in last month's election, in another setback as he battles to win backing for his premiership. The 42-year-old leader of the progressive Move Forward Party, whose election victory stunned Thailand's military-backed establishment, has faced multiple complaints from rivals, 3 of which the poll body has dismissed for late submission. However, Pita is by no means in the clear, with the Commission looking into the probability of his qualification to register as a parliamentary candidate due to his ownership of shares in a media firm, which is prohibited under election rules. Pita has since downplayed the issue, arguing the shares in the firm called ITV have since been transferred and the company was not an active media organization. He will face disqualification up to 10 years in jail and 20 years banned from politics if found in violation. The Philippines' most active volcano was gently spewing lava down its slopes on Monday, prompting the evacuation of nearly 13,000 residents in the southeast of the country's main island. According to the country's chief volcanologist, Teresito Bacolcol, the volcano is currently under the 3rd highest warning in a 5-tier system that forecasts the threat of a hazardous or explosive eruption. With lava flowing down from the volcano gently, Bacolcol said the alert level would stay at 3, but it could be moved up higher if the eruption turns perilous. More than 12,600 people have left the mostly poor farming communities within a 6-kilometer radius of Mayon's crater in mandatory evacuations since volcanic activity increased last week. Authorities said more people could be evacuated if Mayon's unrest intensifies in the coming days. Located in a farming peninsula called Bicol, Mayon is among the country's most active volcanoes, which has grown restive in recent weeks, with more frequent earthquakes and rocks falling from its crater. At least 10 people were killed, while 25 others were injured after a bus carrying wedding guests rolled off a ramp at a roundabout in the Hunter region in Australia's New South Wales state. Of the 25 injured passengers transported to a hospital, only 15 passengers remain, with 1 in a critical but stable condition. The accident occurred around 11:30 p.m. local time on Sunday, near the town of Greta, about 180 kilometers northwest of Sydney. The driver of the bus, a 58-year-old man, has been taken into custody and was in the charging process. Authorities reported it appeared to be a single-vehicle collision, as they tried to identify all passengers, as some of them could be trapped beneath the bus, which was lying on its side. The cause of the incident remains unknown. We're back with sports. Tennis, the 2023 French Open. Novak Djokovic created tennis history when he clinched a record 23rd Grand Slam men's singles title after beating Casper Ruud of Norway in the final. Djokovic claimed a 7-6, 6-3, 7-5 victory to win at Roland Garros for the third time and break the record held by his rival Rafael Nadal. Fourth seed Ruud, playing in his third major final after Roland Garros and the US Open, got off to the better start with an early break, but Djokovic rallied back to win the tie-break, then cruised through the second set and tightened his grip when it mattered in the third. The Serbian is now the only male player to have won each of the 4 Grand Slams at least 3 times. Djokovic's triumph Sunday also means he will return to number 1 in the ATP rankings Monday, replacing Carlos Alcaraz of Spain.
7-6, 6-3, 7-5.
Moving on to football, the Dutch Eredivisie. FC Twente defeated Sparta Rotterdam 1-0 in the second leg of their Dutch ECL playoff to take a 2-1 aggregate victory and advance to the UEFA Europa Conference League qualifying draw. Joshua Brennett scored the only goal in the 53rd minute, smashing the ball from inside the penalty area towards goal. Mies Hilgers tried to deflect it but only helped it across the line. Sparta Rotterdam had their chances but could not make anything stick as Twente held on for victory. The Brasileiro bear Serie A now. Flamengo moved up to 3rd place in the standings after a 3-0 home victory over Grêmio at Maracana Stadium. Everton gave the lead to Flamengo in the 24th minute as he dribbled past the defender before calmly slotted the ball home. The home side had to wait till 5 minutes after the hour mark to double the advantage through Pedro's effort from the edge of the box, before Bruno Henrique put the result beyond doubt seconds before the final whistle, sealing a comfortable 3-0 win for Flamengo. The victory saw the home side improve to 19 points after 10 games, while Luis Suarez Grêmio remained on 17 points and dropped to 6th in the standings. Still to come, father charged with raping and sodomizing own children. Welcome back. A man was charged in the Kuala Terengganu Sessions Court on Monday with raping and sodomizing his 3 children. The 38-year-old father pleaded not guilty after the 7 charges against him were read before Judge Nuriah Osman. On the first and second charges, the man is accused of raping his 13-year-old child. He also faces 3 other charges of having sex with his 12-year-old child and 2 charges of committing unnatural sex against the 9-year-old. He allegedly committed all the offences in a house in the Kuala Nerus district between February last year and May this year. The accused is charged under the Penal Code with a sentence of up to 30 years imprisonment and caning if convicted. No bail was allowed and the court set July 12th for re-mention of the case. Meanwhile, in the Kuala Terengganu Magistrates Court, the man faced another charge of injuring his wife under the Penal Code. In Sabah, a man who was recently arrested over the fatal stabbing of a woman in a shopping mall in Kota Kinabalu was charged with murder on Monday. 32-year-old Chung King Fung, or Haider Daniel Chung, was accused of murdering 21-year-old Nurul Ain Silian at the Jesselton Mall. The charge carries the death penalty upon conviction under the Penal Code. No plea was taken from Chung, who works as a personal assistant of an international construction company, after the charge was read out to him before Magistrate Lovely Natasha Charles. The court fixed July 11th for further mention of the case and ordered the accused to be remanded further. It was reported on May 29th that the police had arrested the accused, believed to be the victim's ex-fiancé. The victim was found lying in a pool of blood by the public, with several stab wounds to her body. That concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as graffiti artists in Gaza paint murals on the remains of houses destroyed in Israeli missile strikes during cross-border fighting in May. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.